What's up, everybody? Derek Anderson, the DA. So I have this tweet here from Comicstorian, and you guys probably know who Comicstorian is. Big YouTuber, has a lot of history about comic books. If you haven't seen his channel before, I definitely recommend checking it out. But he asked this question in regards to the upcoming slate for DC films in 2023. He says, I really hate the argument. What's the point of watching DC movies in 2023? Do you not watch movies to just enjoy them? Did you watch Dark Knight Trilogy only in hopes of a crossover universe? Batman 89 only in hopes of seeing Superman? Maybe the MCU really did ruin cinema. Okay, and then he has, of course, a little Marky Mark shaking his head meme on that. Now, here's a couple of points. He's not 100% wrong about going to movies just to watch the movies and enjoy the movies. If that's what you want to do, go ahead, okay? But I think the point he's missing in regards to this is that no, the MCU didn't ruin cinema, but it did change the game for comic book movies, right? It changed the game 100%. So he's talking about Batman 89 and the Dark Knight Trilogy. Like, yeah, bro, we were definitely going to go and check those out. I mean, Batman is one of the biggest IPs on the planet in the history of not just comic book characters, but characters in general in the world. He's one of the biggest IPs ever. Everybody knows who Batman is. Everybody's going to go and watch Batman movies when they come out, regardless of who made it, what it's about, whatever. Hey, I'm in the theaters. Batman got another movie out. That's just the way that's going to go down. And then, yeah, as it builds out its sequels and everything, people will go and check those out too, okay? It's one of the big, so it's like, it's not a fair comparison to just talk about the movies that are coming out next year, all right? Which is what, Shazam, Flash, Blue Beetle, and Aquaman. Batman blows those characters right on out of the water. So it's not an equal apples to apples thing that we're talking about there. But not only that, once again, those films came out back in the day and it was a different dynamic back then because people weren't expecting cinematic universes back in 89, back in 2005 when Batman Begins came out. Nobody was expecting a cinematic universe, okay? You were expecting, yeah, original, the sequel, kind of a standalone sequel. That's pretty much what you were expecting back then. But yeah, the Marvel Cinematic Universe absolutely changed the game. It changed the dynamic. Before the Iron Man post-credit scene, right? And really actually before Avengers and, the connectivity of that film, yeah, everybody just went to see, okay, this character is out. We're going to go see it just on the sake of that one character. I'll give you an example. Now, this is Jonah Hex, which came out in 2010, right at the beginning of the MCU, okay? The MCU came out in earnest in 2008, but it wasn't really until 2012 that everybody saw what a cinematic universe was. So this is just before that, and you can see, yeah, it's a DC film, DC character, and I want you to take a look at who's in this movie. I mean, you had Josh Brolin, right, who ended up becoming Thanos, okay? You got John Malkovich, one of the great actors ever, okay? Megan Fox, like the hot ticket at that point, at least in terms of, sex appeal, eye candy, okay? Hot ticket there. You got Michael Fassbender, Will Arnett, Michael Shannon. I mean, you're talking about an all-star lineup in terms of acting ability. Now, not all of these guys was as big as they are now, but these names, if you saw this lineup and said, man, that's a who's who of acting talent that you just can't match. I bet this movie did absolutely bananas in the box office. Nope. $11 million. That's all it did on a $47 million budget. I mean, this thing, they put some okay money into it and they didn't get anywhere near the return. Now, if you put out Jonah Hex now, okay, if you put this movie out in 2023, okay, and you connected it to other films and had kind of a cinematic universe thing going on, it would be 100% different story, all right? So, again, this is the difference between just going to a movie to see a movie. Now, Jonah Hex sucked. It wasn't that good. But I saw it twice in theaters, okay? I see everything twice that I want to support. Comic book film, okay, it might suck, but I'm going to lend my support because I want them to make more comic book films. That's just the way I think, okay? I could be wrong or right about that. Who knows? So, to Comicstorian's argument, to watch movies only to enjoy them, yeah, we might do that as comic book fans, but now we're talking about the general audience and what are the expectations of the general audience in 2022 heading into 2023. It's about cinematic universes. Why do you think everybody's trying to launch a cinematic universe right now? Because they recognize if you can get one of these joints to take off, oh man, all of your little third tier and fourth tier characters all of a sudden become money makers. But I think the second thing that Comicstorian is not paying attention to, and it's the bigger issue in my opinion, is the rabid DC fan base being ultimately pissed off at what James Gunn just did. All right, so check it out. This is the lineup for next year, right? We got Shazam in March, we got Flash in June, we got Blue Beetle in August, and we got Aquaman in December. And I would say, like, before James Gunn decided to fire Henry Cavill and probably just shit can the entire DCU, and that's that we know. All right. I think that there was relatively some interest to see, okay, these films, we want to see all of these things connect eventually. How is James Gunn going to do it? How's he going to connect Flash with Shazam, with Blue Beetle? How's he going to get the Aquaman thing going? You know, where are we going with this? People were kind of interested to see where all of that was leading to. And then how is he going to start bringing all of this stuff together and connect it and make it a fun, interesting universe along with Superman, along with Wonder Woman and the other characters that we like? How is he going to do it? We were interested to find out. I think there was more interest in it from the DC fan base just from that alone, okay? But now that you have destroyed all of that and you're saying no more Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot is probably out the door as we speak, okay? There's rumors about recasting Jason Momoa as Lobo, all right? And then you're going with a younger Superman. All of this stuff is just done and gone and over with. Why would anybody want to go and watch any of this? Why would anybody want to put their time and energy into this? Like the fact that James Gunn thinks that he could just swap out a fan favorite Superman for this generation, the Superman for this generation, okay? And then cast the new actors and then the fans are just going to thank him for it? That's hilarious. It's going to absolutely have an impact on all of these films. Comicstorian has to understand that, okay? These movies are going to get dog walked. Yeah, they're going to sell some tickets just like Jonah Hex sold some tickets, okay? But I doubt they make their money back. Like, I think every single film on this thing has at least a $200 million budget. And you saw how Black Adam with The Rock and all of these guys struggled to get there. Now, Shazam, maybe it'll get there. Aquaman has a chance, obviously, because it was a hugely popular film. Jason Momoa is a popular actor, okay? The original did $1 billion, but that was also coming on the heels of it being connected to a universe. So I think it's diminishing returns for the Shazam film and for Aquaman. At least they're not going to make as much as they would have made. Flash has Ezra Miller in it, and this guy's a nutcase. I don't think anybody's going to want to support that just from the general audience. Like, even when they were talking about, yeah, we'll go and see The Flash because The Flash is probably going to be a pretty good movie, but now that this Ezra Miller guy is in it, oh man, I don't want anything to do with this thing. And then nobody knows who the Blue Beetle is. Like, you know, how many people really know who the Blue Beetle is and what his character is about? How many people are willing to throw their money at this character when money is tight? I just think that these things are about to get destroyed, and these movies are going to get fast-tracked to HBO Max in about 45 to 60 days after their release. That's just my opinion. I could be 100% wrong. You guys can come back and tell me I'm wrong. But ultimately, to his question of watching movies to enjoy them again, I think that Avengers changed the game. That whole Avengers initiative, that post-credit scene, that changed the game for comic book movies going forward, because people now expect a serialized kind of connected universe where, hey, we're watching this film to connect to this film to connect to this film. Again, kind of the magic of comic books in general, right? You had the Justice League, but all the members of the Justice League had their own individual series, and then you watched them all to come together to have adventures in the Justice League. I think that that's what fans have come to expect. I think that's what the general audience has come to expect. And if you're not going to give them that, then they're not going to bother with it. And this guy says, MCU ruined comic book movies not because they were bad, but because it made the audience expect something connected to the end game. I would have skipped 25% of Marvel movies if they did not lead up to Infinity Gauntlet, did not care for those characters. DCEU has that problem. Exactly. Like, again, people weren't going to watch the Ant-Man just because of Ant-Man. Nobody's watching that film on its own, okay? But you connect it to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and suddenly you got to go see Ant-Man, all right? Same thing with Captain Marvel. Like, Captain Marvel's the better example, honestly, because who would have went to see Captain Marvel if not for the fact that it came right before Endgame? Nobody would have went to see it, okay? Especially the way they left it off in Infinity War and the post-credit scene, okay? With Nick Fury checking on the little beeper, all right? Like, that to Endgame, you wanted to know the in-between. Who is this Captain Marvel character? And that's why everybody went to see that movie. People can vote with their money, and if they don't want Gunn's reboot, they won't support it in theaters, and it'll flop. Exactly. The Superman trailer is going to be fire. They're all going to watch it just to hate it, and it's going to make like $700 million at least in the box office. I'm not so sure about that. Not now. Not right now. You know, maybe as time goes on and attitudes ease and everybody chills, maybe it won't be the case, but I'm not so sure about that. Usually I agree, but these movies were designed with an overarching universe in mind. Now that it's gone, it does diminish the movies. So Comicstorian answers, did you not enjoy Joker, Batman, and Wonder Woman? They have been separating everything for years now, making sure nothing is tied to anything after the first Aquaman. The Flash has had so many cameos shot and removed because they didn't know what they wanted to do. Again, that's more reason not to go and watch it. Because again, it doesn't lead to anything. Ezra Miller's in it, makes people not want to go watch it, okay? But the fact that James Gunn has just pretty much rebooted this whole thing, started with Superman. Again, the worst move in my opinion was just completely dismissing the Superman character, Henry Cavill, and just sending him on his way, getting him out. You're just telling people that none of these next movies matter. All right, none of these movies matter. So I think that was a big mistake on the part of James Gunn, and we'll see if it affects him, okay? But honestly, the question becomes, who's gonna go watch these films, okay? What is the interest level gonna be with $200 million budgets all the way around? How many people are gonna be flocking to the theaters so that these movies can make their money back, okay? Overseas, maybe you'll get a little bit more, but here I don't think anybody's watching these, okay? That's just my opinion, but you guys tell me what you think. Go ahead, drop down in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts and opinions are, and thanks for watching. See you next time.